Hello and welcome to the stream. Today we are doing something a little bit different based on a request from a subscriber. They asked for a hotel booking platform that was focused on one hotel. So that's what we're going to do. And I've changed my camera angle. So, hey, I thought I'd try something a bit different, try and set up a little bit different, and that way you can say hello to my elephants, who are always with me in spirit. Now, to focus in on just the screen. And hello from Morocco. So this is a basic Laravel application so far. And all I've done is install a couple of things, a couple of dependencies. It's a Laravel application with no startup, no kind of Sanctum, no Breeze, no Jetstream, nothing. It's just plain, clean Laravel. Installed a couple of development dependencies. So let me just add this. Adding some dev tooling. Ooh. And we're just going to push that up now. And while I wait for that, I'm just going to come over to the settings and we can make this public. Understand. There's so many buttons just to make a repository public, right? So many things you got to click. Hey, Gary, I'm going to use my password. And it is now public. So you should be able to go visit this repo. I'm going to drop that in the comments. We're just going to add a banner for it as well. And you should be able to go view that and follow along if you would like. Now, I've set up a linear project, which is pretty fun. I'm not going to even try and pronounce your name. I do apologize. I do not want to butcher it. But thanks for being with me. I'm going to take my medication quickly, and then we'll be straight into it. So, I'm assuming a lot of you can read. So, it's a hotel booking platform for a single hotel, allowing guests to check in and check out, basically. It's a relatively straightforward concept. And the key features are user authentication, room management. There's going to be a real-time booking engine, some payment integration, admin dashboard, and a customer support kind of interface. So what we're looking at in reality is kind of 3 to 4 different interfaces into the one Laravel application. It has been a long time, Mark. Thank you for joining me. So if we break it down, we've got an admin interface, a support interface. We're going to have like some payment interface, as well as the average kind of interaction booking interface. So we're going to have almost like 4 different apps in this one app eventually. So I say we just get started. I'm going to install some Livewire. We want some Livewire. While that installs, I'm going to come over to resources and I'm just going to clean this up. I don't see a point in having an app and a bootstrap file. It's kind of a bit of a waste. I'm going to add our Tailwind stylings. That's that. Inside views, all we've got is welcome so far. We're at a good starting point, right? We've got a very, very clean Laravel application that's just going to allow us to do what we need to do. So where to start? Let's come and create components, layouts, and we're just going to create a page.blade.php. This is typically how I would build a front-end application. So let's come down to Tailwind here. We're just going to copy that as a starter. And let's just say props. Title is going to be config app.name. That's like my default sort of what I would do. Then in here, we want to come along and grab this default URL, locale, not URL. What am I talking about? Then we'll add a class of hateful. We're going to set the background to be slate 50. And when it's in dark mode, we will be using slate 900. We can set a title here, which is going to be the title prop. We can load in our JavaScript using Vite. And as we're using Livewire 3, we do not need to add any sort of Alpine-y stuff. We're just going to add a slot here. I'm going to add the Livewire scripts down here. And let's just add the Livewire styles up the top. Basic. And what I'll do is I'm just going to grab these fonts as well. There we go. We're going to be using the fig tree for now. We'll swap it out later. So that welcome view is no longer needed. So I can delete that. Come over here. We're going to create a pages directory and just create an index.blade.php. This is typically how I would set things up. So for now, we're just going to go layouts.page. Title is homepage test. Perfect. Now, if we come over to Arc again, we can add a new tab. I'm just going to create a new tab. Tranquil Stay Test. Awesome. We have started. Let's just move that into this folder. And we can get things working and fixing. Watching from Nepal. Awesome. And you are welcome. Here we go. This was Ajesh's request. So let's get going with it. So first off, let's create web and console within there. Then we're going to go and create a roots.php file, which we will also copy into web. Let's just copy the content into there. And this one, we're just going to copy into there, come over to Bootstrap, and we can just clean this up. And just Laravel playing that one, meaning we can then delete those and focus in on this. So close other tabs. Obviously, we need to declare some script types everywhere. So root as pages. We're going to group everything. Quick static function, which is a void return, and we can say root view, and we can say pages.index name of home. Fantastic. So now if we clear that, let me come back to here. So we can say a root list. Other than Livewire stuff, defaults, we got pages home. Fantastic. Now, database. Database is important. For this, I'm actually using Postgres. Table Plus. We've got Postgres here. I haven't done any of the migrations yet, so we're starting from scratch as humanly possible. do some cleanup. Lower a pint, fix that up, fix that up, and fix that up. Now we will use UUIDs for this because I like them. I'm going to grab the email verified app and we're just going to move that to there, and we'll just say that we are also going to be soft deleting our users. Now that means we also have to change this to be a foreign UUID, which is nullable, constrained to the users table, and it will cascade on delete. That is the basics of the users table done. We'll probably revisit that a little bit later once we start adding in the auth that we actually want to. So let's fix that, and fix that. Then our jobs table, we can kind of do the same. Laravel pipe. Perfect. Close all of that off. Come over to the factories, and I don't use that ever. So I don't use this or that. So I can just fix that whole file, remove this, put this in order, like that. Then we can say that our model is the user model. This is a class string generic type model. This will return an array of string and mixed. And I don't like helper functions, so we can say this faker. And there we go. We are off to the races. Fantastic. So when I'm building a new application, I like to come to my database seeder and make sure I've got, me as a user that can log in, because I'm going to remember the email address without thinking. So I can just say juststevemcd@gmail.com. Let's just remove that because I want all of it to be triggered. And for now, I'm just, okay, now I need to come and do it over here too. Let's just fix all of that. We will add some email verification a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to say has UUIDs and use soft deletes. Then this is going to be an array of int string. You can tell it's been a weekend because I can't type as well today. Then we've got another one here, and then this one is going to return an array of string. Right, we can also fill in the remember token and the email verified app. Now up here, we need to add some properties to the ID. String for the name. The email for the passwords. And we can say null string for a member token, and then null an interface for the email verified at. We can add some carbon interface for the created at, for the updated at, and again for the deleted at. There's my device, prioritize on the Wi-Fi network because that will be useful. That's our basic user setup. We're going to prioritize for 4 hours, not that I'm streaming for 4 hours. And while I remember, let's just put myself in do not disturb for now. So we have got everything we will need. So for now, we will just migrate fresh and seed. Come back to Arc, refresh this. Vite manifest not found. So now we set up our terminals. We're going to have npm running. We're going to have our queue worker running. Then we're going to have somewhere for us to do artisan commands. And this is how I like to organize things. So I can run dev there. I can have the queue working in the background. And I've got an artisan console that I can just work with. Perfect. So over to here, and now we're going to open up the page.blade.php and just add a little bit of styling on this. H-full, anti-aliased, font sans, text slate 900, and in dark mode, we're going to have text slate 550, not 500. So come back to Arc, refresh, and we are good. We've got Laravel debug bar already installed and working so that we can kind of make sure we're not getting too carried away with eager loading and queries and all of that stuff. Although for a static page, we're already making 3 queries. How terrible is that? Like, this should not be happening. We've got 2 duplicates running because of its database session handler. Come on, guys, you can do better than this. You can do better than this. Right, anyway, we'll ignore that for now. So we're going to have a few things in this application. To start with, we're going to want to differentiate between logged in and logged out when it comes to views. So we're going to have a guest.blade.php, so unauthenticated, and then we're also going to have app.blade.php for authenticated views. Now, both of which will extend this page or implement this page. So we're basically going to say a layouts.page where the title is the passing title, and then we're going to do stuff within there. And we can replicate that there. They're just going to be completely different layouts. So there is that. We can start to work with. All of that bit is fine. Let's come back to linear and figure out what we want to do. Thank you, Oliver. So what we're going to have here is a user is able to log in. And once they've logged in, we need to figure out what is their role. So within user authentication, I have kind of scoped this out a little bit so that we've got a secure login and registration systems for users and hotel staff with role-based access control. We've got email authentication, which we are currently, we will be implementing. Social auth, which is kind of like once we've got a few things set up. And then we've got a stretch goal of Google one-click sign-in, because I think that would be cool to see, personally. So we want to use a directory tree authorization package for this. So let's just say that we are going to do this in progress and come back to PHP Storm. So before I do that, git status, git add all of that, git commit, and we're going to say getting set up. And for now, I'm just going to git push all of that stuff. I'm not going to do any sort of PR-based stuff because it's just a This is a pet project I'm just going to be playing with. So we've got directory tree authorization. Let's install. Once that's installed, we can say vendor publish, and we're going to do that. So this is publishing all the migrations for us. So down in our migrations, we've now got our authorization tables. We can fix this up and say return a new class which extends migrations. Come down to here, and we're just going to do that. Drop those comments, and then we are going to Laravel pipe the whole thing. Make that static. That can be static. That can also be static, as can this and this. Oh, so much to talk about. Right. What we also want is directory tree authorization Laravel. This is what we want to find. This. So, do we really always need to separate guest layout and logged in? I mean, no, you don't. But for me, I'm going to, because that works well for me. So, user needs to be authorizable to start with. So let's open up our user here and use authorizable from directory tree. So now we can come back to Arc and we can figure this out. We don't want to ignore migrations, but we do want to be able to say what our models are going to be. So let's just copy these. And we're going to say, make a new provider. Hey, provide. Come on, Steve, learn to type. Provider authorization service provider. That should automatically be registered in Bootstrap providers, which it is, which is good. So now we can just double check on Arc. That should be in the boot. So we can delete that and just fix all of this up. We're going to want authorization, and we're going to want to simplify that. Now we can create the role and permission classes. And I do this because I'm a little bit picky, okay? You may have noticed, you may not have noticed, but I'm pretty picky when it comes to code and applications that I'm working on. So we can have a role class there, and we're going to have a permission class there. So this can then be simplified, then this can also be simplified. And we can then focus in on the other stuff. So role managers permissions. Use managers permissions. This needs to extend model, I believe. Yep, still with the same model. Perfect. Then permissions will have that. So permission extends model. We are going to import that class, and import that class. Then we're going to fix that up, and we're good to go. Right, so we've got role and permission, but then we've got this authorization table stuff down here. Now, I don't want some things to be incrementing IDs and other things to be UUIDs, so we're just going to UUID it all. So let's just make that, grab that, and we're just going to replace all of them down here. Any new ones? No new ones. Perfect. So now we can grab this, and we're just going to put it above the timestamps because that's do things in a certain way. Grab that. What we're going to do is this. So ID, name, and label, perfect. Then this unsigned integer, just no, I don't need that. That isn't how it works for me. So we can have a foreign UUID for permission ID, which will be index, constrained, and cascaded. Again, a foreign UUID, which will be an index, constrained, and will cascade. Permission and user. So I'll grab this permission there, delete all of that. And then we're just going to say this one is the user ID. Role user, we'll just grab that. We're going to say role ID and user ID there. Then down is all okay. Perfect. So all of that is working. Role is set up. We just want to say use has UIDs. Permissions, we're going to say use has UIDs. Fix that. And that should cover it for now. So now let's migrate fresh and seed. Come back to Arc. So we can create a permission, we can create a role, and then we can assign a role to certain people. So this package is actually really, really useful. I'm going to, again, add a banner and show it and drop it in the comments. It's a really useful package, if I'm honest. It's a really nice way to handle any sort of permissions or roles. So what we're going to do is now we've got them in place. What we want to do is look at defining or kind of assigning roles. There's a few different ways you can do it. And what I think would be useful here is to use, I don't usually use observers because they're relatively hidden, but recently I found a PHP attribute that allows me to use it. So we can make an observer. We are going to call this a user observer, and we're going to use that user model. Now, if we just open up that user observer, we can delete most of this for now. So we're just going to focus on the created for now. Delete that, and we're going to fix all of that up. So when a user is created, we want to assign the default role. Now, the default role is to be defined, but we also need to make sure that our user knows about this. There's actually a really cool attribute called observed by, and that is observed by the user observer. And that makes it really clear the model basis, what's being observed by what. Previously, I used to use the dispatches events and do it that way because it allowed visibility within the model. However, it's just kind of for the sake of it. I was making my own classes and making my own way to do it because it seemed the best way. However, having this observed by allows me to have visibility at that model layer while tapping into Laravel's default generated code, and it's all good. So created at there, and what we can actually do is public function. We're going to use a constructor for this. I know, talk about using Laravel defaults, then using something like this. So we're going to have a private read-only dispatcher as a bus. That can actually be a read-only class, and then we can fix that up. Then what this is going to do is this bus dispatch a job, basically. So make a job, and we're going to say, I don't know, auth user account created. Actually, no, that doesn't make sense. Auth assign role to user. So now we got that. The command we are going to dispatch is a new assign role to user, which if we click through, let me zoom in a minute, actually. I just noticed on my other screen that the code wasn't as big as it could be. Let's clean all that up. Clean that and clean that. This then goes up there, and we can have a public for the user, and then role. Then inside here, we want to have the database manager as database. So that when this gets triggered, we've got the user as user ID, and the role we are going to say, when a user signs up by default, they are going to be a guest. So that will then trigger off all of it in the background, allow me to assign a role to a user by default. So we can say database transaction. We're going to attempt this no more than 3 times, and the callback is going to be, we're probably going to do a standard function for this because we need to get the role. We are going to do a first or create, I think. And then we are going to say user query where the column is the ID, the operator is equals, and the value is this user. Then we're going to update values to be, no, that's not what we want. Is it? No, it's definitely not what we want. We want to assign to. All right, let's come back to Arc and let's go have a look at this. Right, we want to assign something. User, roles, save, and then the role name. Okay, so what we can do is instead of passing through the user ID, is we actually pass through the user. So I just realized I'm still showing the banner. Right, so we can pass through the user. This is going to accept a user or a model. Then down here, what we want to do is say this user roles and then save the role. That simple, right? That should do it, I think. So if we come over to Table Plus, just refresh that a minute. If we go to role user, we haven't got anything. And to make sure this works, we are going to migrate fresh and seed, come over to Table Plus, refresh, didn't work. So what's going on in the queue? Ooh, that failed. Authorizable is not found. Okay, so let's do a quick composer update. make sure everything is there. AQ work. A migrate fresh seed, check the queue, and it's failing. So let's look at this failed jobs a minute. Error using this when not in object context. Aha, found it. So in this job, I can't make this static because I need to access this. So let's just migrate fresh seed again. And we're still failing. Table plus, refresh, using this one, not in object context. Let's just stop that. A migrate fresh. We're going to drop the seed for now. Come over to table plus. Make sure that's clear. We're going to manually feed the database and then work the queue. And for some reason, it's still failing. Mass assignment issue. I'm just going to copy that, come over to PHP Storm, and create a new Scratch file quickly. Scratches, and we're just going to say plain text. We're just going to drop that in, and okay. So let's debug. Debug as we go. And get all of it. Add name to fillable property on role. So this isn't going to work because we are doing some mass assignable stuff. Now, our role is going to be fillable, and this role could have a name as well as a label. And this will be array string. And then this is also then repeated on permission. Make sure we add it. Migrate fresh seed, AQ work, and that should now work. Right, nothing in there. So role user, and we've got a role and a user. So that all works. We know that works. Perfect. So when a user signs up, they are. Let's just go back, and we're going to say, okay, that's done, and that is done. So now we just need this default role structure. Come back over to PHP Storm, and what we're going to do is, now you could use a seeder for this, but is it the right way? It's a really interesting question when it comes to seeders, right? Is what should you use a seeder for? Now, for me, it's to set a default state. If we come to the Laravel documentation, and we just kind of go for database seeders, seed your database with data, all seed classes, blah, 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 by default, a database, blah, 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 blah. Oh, mass assignment is disabled. I did not know that. That's kind of cool. So run the seeder. Here's an example. Type in dependencies, calling additional seeders, muting model events, and running seeders. Specifying specific ones. Some seeding operations may cause you to alter or lose data. In order to protect your data from running seeding commands against your product. You can do the for. Okay, so you can use them in like a production environment. would roles not be a good candidate for an enum? Yes, it typically would, but I want to use this authorization package because it gives me much more in depth than just an enum role. So I'm going to make a new seeder, default roles seeder. Now, the changes that we need to make are going to be in here. So if app environment does not equal production, we can do that. That's going to complain, so there we go. If we are in production, we'll be out here. So we can say this call once. The class we want to call is the default role seeder class. And there we go. So migrate fresh and seed, seeding database. This is not being ran right now. Actually, no, we don't want to return because even in local environments, we also want to be running these. So let's just fix all of that up. And we're going to have a few default roles. We're going to have a guest. We're going to have staff, admin, and we're also going to say support. So these are like our four main roles. So role query, update or create. And we're just going to do that for now. So we're going to have a guest. Ooh. Wow, keyboard, come on. Support, staff, and admin. Like arc, where is that directory tree stuff? So a role, name and a label. So it needs a label. So update or create that, update or create, update or create. Now this is mostly just for the sake of it, but guest. And the label is going to be hotel guest. The label is going to be support operator. Staff label is going to be hotel staff. And admin, the label is going to be the hotel administrator. It's running, default role seeder, awesome. So over in Table Plus, we can go check our roles, hotel guest, support operator, hotel staff, and a hotel administrator. So if I come and look at this user, I really should buy a license, right? I use it so much. Right, this user is me. And then this role is a hotel guest by default. That's kind of what was created. So let's come back to PHP Storm. And for this here, we're going to keep it, I think. So if we're not in production, create this default user. Otherwise, we're always going to run this default role seeder, which means we'll just say, run it, we're all good. So that's setting up our roles. That's all good. Signups should work. So now we need to think about the hotel itself. Now, we only want the one hotel. We're not building a multi-hotel application because I think that's slightly out of the scope of what we want to do anyway. But I think there's enough of those things out there already. Like everywhere I look, there's this, everyone's going for this multi-hotel or multi-tenant thing. And to be honest, I cannot be bothered with that. This hassle. So I'm going to create my first model. I'm going to make a model, and we will want a migration and factory afterwards. This one is going to be, let me go back to linear. Let's just say that this is also done. That's all of those done. So that makes authorization also done. Room management. So rooms can have inventory, but they can also have, like, I suppose attributes would be the correct word. Maybe. Tell you what, let's go to Arc and let's go to Open Web UI. So this is something that I've started using recently instead of ChatGPT. It's Open Web UI. It's a Docker container that I'm running locally, which will speak to Llama. And I've got Llama 2 and Llama 3 installed. This Mario latest is just something random I created while I was building a package. So I am building a hotel booking application. I need a name for a model that will allow me to say if a room has Wi-Fi, double bed, window, aircon, etc. So let's see what Llama 3 says. While it has a think about that, let's see if you've got any ideas. So room feature, it's an amenity. That would be it. Amenity. That's probably what I'd say. That was the word I was looking for, amenity. Or amenity or amenities. You typically see it, right? You get what I mean. So fix the whole file quickly, and let's just clear that up there and that there. Do this, and this is also going to be a UID, primary. Hello, William. Yeah, you got it, Oliver. Good shot. Good shot. Right. So all we really need here is like a name for the amenity. Potential description, which could be nullable. But I'm also going to say like table string icon, which is nullable as well. So maybe I want to load the icon in the database. That could be an SVG. Probably shouldn't be a string if it's going to be an SVG, that's for sure. So we say like icon there. Yeah. So name would be something like Wi-Fi. Description would be, we have 100 megabyte download Wi-Fi available in this room. An icon could be a Wi-Fi icon, or it could just be a text icon that we then load through the components and do all that sort of stuff. Okay, this doesn't need to actually relate to anything either, because this is just like, this is my hotel. These are the amenities that I'm going to manage. So that's even better. So now we can come to the factory. And we're just going to say, delete all of that rubbish I don't like. And we're going to say name is going to be this Baker random element. And we're going to pick from an array. We're going to have a description, not a paragraph. We're going to have real text. The icon is just going to be null for now. So we're going to have things like Wi-Fi. Maybe we need like a name and a label, just like the models were, the roles. So going to name. What we're going to do is say that that's the name. And down here, we're going to say we're going to use string title case on the name. So we've got Wi-Fi, window, aircon, I don't know, mini, fridge, what other amenities could there be? A safe. We'll leave it at that. That's kind of, it gets us there, right? Sea view. I suppose, yeah. A sea view is definitely more of an amenity than a window. A window should be in your hotel room. Maybe I'm staying in the wrong hotels, people. What do you think? So let's just make sure we add the model up here, and we're just going to do that. And then we want this to be a class string, which is a generic type of model. Then this is going to return an array of string and mixed. All good. Now amenities. We have UIDs. Fillable. Init string. We have a name. We have a label. We have a description. And we have an icon. Now what we can do is copy string for the ID, copy string for the name, string for the label, so null string for the description. There's also null string for the icon. Then we can do the carbon interface for the created at and the updated at. I've stayed in attached bathroom. I suppose that would definitely be an amenity, an ensuite, for example. Yeah, I have stayed in some real dives. I stayed at a hotel in London once, which had no windows. It was basically just a bed and a shower and a toilet. But you know what? It was right near the airport, and I was only going there to sleep before a flight, so it kind of made sense. If you're staying in a hotel for any longer than a few hours, make sure you got a window and some air. That's all I'd say. Okay, so name, label, description, icon. Don't need to cast anything. Don't need to relate anything. That is all good. Right. What other features of a room could we have? Inventory. So room inventory. So what items are in a room? We also need the room first. Okay, so this is our hotel. It could be one big hotel, or it could be lots of little buildings. So what I'm going to do is make an assumption here and have a building model. Then within each building can have many floors, and each floor will contain a room. So if I'm overcomplicating it, I apologize, but it's working in my brain, okay? Authorization, amenities, buildings. So let's say it's a complex, and this hotel could have 4 different buildings. They need to be able to book different buildings. Each building may be a different price rate. You know, thinking outside of the box here. So let's say table string. This is like the internal name. And I like this idea of having a label for like that user-facing thing. Then we're going to have a table text description. That's kind of like what people will see. Maybe some information about it. other than that, I don't think we need much on there right now. We don't need to worry about price or anything yet. We'll kind of come back and add price information a little bit later. We might add things like, I don't know, images, or we might do something like that later. But for now, buildings, that'll do. So building factory, let's focus in on this, clear that out, get rid of some of the rubbish that comes with these stubs. And our model is going to be a building. This is, again, a class string generic type model. This will return an array of string mixed. Name of the building. Okay, so in Nepal, hotel rooms are often named with popular names like Everest and I'm terrible at pronouncing things, so I'm not going to try and pronounce that last one. But I'll show it on the screen. I'm gonna try it. Perna? Yeah, okay. We'll keep it off. We'll let you guess. Right, okay. So we got name, label, and description. That's literally it. So we got Faker. Now, for the building name, I'm just going to say, is there anything? I don't know, we're going to building number. The label is going to be this Faker. We're going to give a company name just for fun. You know, you're staying at the Tesco building. Description. This Faker. Real text. And that'll do for now. So that's our building. It has UIDs. Let's say fillable. It's an array of int string. I am slowly getting better with this split keyboard. Name, label, description. I think that was it, right? Name, label, and description. That's all that needs. Then we could do that. Don't need to cast anything. What we can do on the model is if we come up to here and roll. No? Amenity, that one. I'm just going to grab that because it's very similar. And the only thing we need to actually remove is the icon. We got it. Now, I'm going to grab this. Actually, going to come to roll, and we're going to do the same thing. We don't need a description for that, which means I can grab that and come to permissions and add that as well. Cheating. It is working. All right, role permission. Right, we've got a building. Each hotel has many buildings. Each building can have many floors. So the floor, this might be me kind of taking it a little bit too far, but it works in my head, and that's the important thing, right? It works in my head, so I know what I'm doing. All right, each floor, UID, ID, primary. We can say table from UID for building ID, index, constrained, cascade. Cool. This floor, again, has a name, table string label, and a table and a description. Description which is nullable. So it's kind of the same as a building, other than it's got a building ID on it. So we can come up to the building factory. We're just going to grab this, come to the floor here, clean that out. And for now, we're just going to drop that in and say building ID is a building factory. We can import that class, clean that up, say that the model is a floor, class string, model return an array of string mixed. Always spell string wrong. My hands get carried away. All right. No, we will stick with building number there for now. So this is has UIDs, fillable. We have got a name, a label, a description, and a building ID. As the first relationship we've got. Wow, we're getting there. This is an array of int string. Let's come over to the building again, and we're just going to grab that. Add that, and then after description, we've got a property string for that, the building ID. But then we also have a relationship, right? So we've got a building as a building, which means we now need to add it. So public function building belongs to. Return this belongs to building, related, building class. I absolutely love this JetBrains AI stuff. It works so much better than anything else that I've tried. So there we go, it belongs to a building, and then the building has many floors. So and this has many related floor, foreign key building ID, then has many floor. And up here we go property collection floor as floors. Ta-da! Absolutely fantastic. Everything is all joining together beautifully. Next up, we've got room. Now, this is the one we need to think through a little bit more, because rooms are a lot more specific. But that's an ID, and what we're going to say is this is on a specific floor. We don't need to link it to a building, because even if that building only has one floor, you time directly to a specific floor. Ooh. Livewire is the best candidate for this project. Which front-end technology will be used? I am actually going to be using Livewire. Livewire is just really nice to use. Mouthful of coffee, and let's get back into it. So we can say table string name and table string for the label. So what I'm thinking here is the name is like 104, for example, but the label could be the honeymoon suite. So you've got that internal reference of the name, but the label is what, you know, it could be the same thing, but it could be honeymoon suite, or it could be, I don't know, artisan apartment. See, yeah, it could be a million other things. Yeah, table text description, which is going to start off as nullable for now. Then what else do we want to do? Table unsigned integer sleeps. I'm going to say default of 1. So it's then we're going to do table string, and we're going to say facing. So this could be facing south, or it could be facing courtyard. It could be facing the sea. It could be facing a motorway. Yeah, it could be facing many things. We will make this nullable. But what I'm thinking here is while you're building out your hotel, you might want to configure this. It wouldn't be an attribute at this point. You're not saying, a specific attribute for this is that it's facing north. That's just a kind of a location thing. So I want to make sure, maybe it's southerly facing if it's a posh hotel or something like that. Other attributes could be, I can't think of any off the top of my head. So let's come here and say, when working with the room model, what properties should I add that wouldn't be classed as an amenity? Smoking, non-smoking rooms. I suppose that could be number, capacity, size, view. Accessibility, rate, base rate for the room type, standard, deluxe, and suite. What floor? Already got that one. Number, room number, that's the name. Capacity, the amount of guests the room can accommodate. Got that as sleeps. Size, I like that idea. Going to remove that. We're going to add that as view. So table. Come on. Table. Bring view. There we go. Right, we've got sleeps. Then we've got size, so the square footage of the room. Now, I'm going to make this an unsigned big integer and just call it size with a default of 0. Now, I don't want to be dealing with floats, that's for sure. Floats are just horrible to work with. Accessibility, whether the room is wheelchair accessible or has any special accessibility features. How can we store that? For now, I'm going to keep it as a string. I reckon we might be able to design a enum for this. We will make it nullable though, because some rooms might not be accessible. Rate type. So we are going to want to type table string, the type of room. Now this will have an enum. Directory, enums, and we're going to create a room type. Room type enum. Bring case single case double case shared case family case apartment case suite, and we'll come back and fill some of those in a little bit later. So default is room type, default to a double room for now. Let's simplify that one. Come back to Arc. What else was there? Rate, base rate for the room, which could be a daily or nightly rate. Okay, so table, unsigned big integer. I'm going to add a daily rate. This is going to default again to 0. And then a table, unsigned big integer as weekly rate, because that'll be, could be different, right? So we've got a daily and a weekly. Smoking, non-smoking rooms. I don't know if that's a thing anymore. View, city, garden, mountain. I don't know. City view, accessible. wheelchair access description. Okay, so that's kind of what we've got for the rooms. So let's come over to the room here. Put this on that side. We're going to zoom out a little bit so we can see what we need. Let's go to the room factory first. Room factory. Let's clean this up. So, name. Name is going to be this faker. Again, I'm just going to use a company name because it just works. The label can then be string title for the name. View this faker word. Accessible is wheelchair accessible. So a quick ternary in there. Type, we can just say this faker random element. The array that we want to use is room type cases. Fantastic. Description is going to be real text. Sleep. This faker number between 1 and 8. Could be a big family room. Size. What we're going to do is we're going to do that times number between int 1 is 100 and int 2 is 300. Get some random room sizes in there. Daily rate is going to be, let's just grab size. And down here we can do size times by 100 or something. And then weekly rate is, that's daily into daily times by 5. So you get 2 nights free. Then we're going to have the floor ID as a floor factory. There we go. Why I'm not using the fake helper on the factory. So what that will do is, if I will show you. If I just do that quickly, if I click through to that, what that's going to do is it's going to do a big check, build up a faker generator, do lots of checks, and eventually make and return it. Whereas each factory has already got faker injected into it in the exact same way. And we're already extending that class. So we're just hitting the container and doing some kind of checks for no reason whatsoever. So that's why I do that. Rate will vary by date and could be done based on the room category rather than individually. Yeah, we're going to kind of expand upon some of this a little bit later, I think. So let's go to room class there. And we're going to say this is a class string, generic type of model. This is going to return an array of string indexed. So now we can go fill in the room. Use has UIDs, and what we want is the fillable. It's an array of string. We've got a name, a label, and we've got a view, accessible, got the type, got a description, how many it sleeps, the daily. This is like the daily base rate, for example, weekly rate. Then you have like period overrides, perhaps. Then we've got also the floor ID. And we can use casts to say we are going to return that. That's going to be an array. This is going to return an array of string, or class string. So the type is room type class. The sleeps is an integer size. Daily rate, integer. Weekly rate is also an integer. So now we can come up here, add these as properties. So property string for the ID, property string for the name, string for the label, string for the view, a nullable string for the access room type for the type, null string for the description, int for the sleeps, int for the size, and we've got another int for the daily rate, and int for the weekly rate, string for the floor ID, then we've got the carbon interface created that and updated that. Awesome. So we are slowly taking shape. Got the floor, and that floor has many rooms. So we could say public function rooms has many, return this has many, room class floor ID, return has many, room, come up to here and we can say property collection room for rooms. This room we need to add that relationship to. Public function floor belongs to. Return belongs to floor. And there we go. That's how basic modeling started. So, I mean, what else could we possibly add to this right now? That is the basics done for data modeling. There's going to be things like bookings. I don't think there's much else we can add to it right now without diving into the booking engine, though. So let's look at linear and room inventory. Okay, we'll add in like item for items which belong in the room. Maybe I'll have a think about that for next time. I think. Come back to linear. We'll come back to that part. Prices and availability. We'll look at later. Anything in an admin dashboard? No, not right now. Customer support. Anything in here? Knowledge base and support requests. Responding to support requests. Room management. Booking engine. Checking in. Reservations and notifications. So I think for now we're getting there for what I think we need. So from a data modeling perspective, we are definitely getting there. Social auth we'll come back to. Email auth we will come to. We're going to move auth towards the end. We don't need auth just yet. So I think for now we'll focus on maybe get some of the front end built, right? So if we come over to Tailwind UI, application UI, and let's just come down to that registration stuff that there is. Where are you? Hiding from me? Sign in and registration. So I am going to use something like this. Simple card. So we're just going to grab this for now. Copy that. Come over to this, and we are going to resources, views, components, guest. Drop that in. This is our guest view. So what I'm going to do is on the index page, we're just going to swap this out for guest so we can actually see it and work with it. So this is our guest view. It's where they log in, it's where they register. So that is repeated on each page, and it is mostly all of that's specific. So we turn that into a slot, come back to Arc, and we've got this. We just replace that for now with this, and we're good. So what this guest view is going to need, it's got that, but then it's got this. So title and heading is going to be needed. Heading like this, and we can take that and say that this is the heading, so that when we come to here, heading is equal to sign into your account. Come back to Arc, can't see it, so let's go and make sure that we remove that text color there. Sign into your account, and we're good to go. So this is where we also need to think about some of the other parts of the components. So we're going to have some default text components, such as a H2. This is how I like to build the UIs, by the way. It works for me. H2.blade. That. We're going to slot in there. I'm going to grab all of that. And we will do a attributes merge class that. Font bold, leading line, tracking tight. So we can basically just compare these two quickly. So X, text, H2, heading. I'm just going to repeat it a second. So that's how the difference between those two. So what we can also do is just grab that and say we actually want this to be slightly down from the top and centered. And then it looks kind of the same. So now we can remove that one. And we are good. This image here, components, new directory UI, and we're just going to say image.blade.php. Right. Grab that, drop it in there a second, and let's just play around with this until we're happy. Right, it's going to need some props. props will be source and alt. So will be the alt, and this will be the source. Then what we're going to want to do is attributes merge class. Now we're going to have an MX auto by default. I'm going to default all of them to width auto, so I only ever have to pass through the height. Then we're going to have an object center object bit, maybe something like that. Right. Come back to here, and we can kind of copy that. And instead of it being an image, we can say X UI dot image, which means we can just say that the height is 10. Ooh. UI image, self-closing. There we go. So the difference there is the color is not being implemented for some reason. I don't know why. Let's remove that and see what it does. Strange indeed. Very, very, very strange. Same URL, same everything. It's almost like it's just ignoring something. Logo instead of image. I want to use this for all images, basically, not just logos. So maybe I'll come back to polishing that later. Then on this, we're going to have a p tag. So p.blade.php. Let's just copy this into here, turn this into a p tag. And we're going to say that this is actually going to be medium. And tracking is wide. Remove that font bold. That's our p tag. So x text dot p. I'm just going to duplicate that and see how it looks. Class margin top 10 text enter. So it's slightly bigger, but it looks better, right? Right, it does for me. So there we go. Remove that space. Arc, and what I then like to do is come down here and grab a container. This one is my usual. So come back to our components and say, let's add a container.blade.php. Then we can add a slot. All of that is going to be inside an attributes merge class that. So there's our kind of default container. Don't need a container within here. There's a guest there, blah, blah, blah. Like this could technically maybe be a container. So like xui dot container class margin top 10. And we're going to just repeat the slot and see how it looks. Not as good. not as good, but that's probably because of some padding up here. So we'll just remove it and we won't worry about that. I've been going for an hour and a half. Wow. Maybe I'll go a little bit longer just because I'm having fun. Having fun. People are watching. Let's go do this. All right. So when we are talking about the different applications, we're going to want to think about how they're going to be managed and accessed. I'm going to want to use Filament for the admin panel. So to start with, we're just going to say composer require filament. Get some Laravel filament stuff in there. And then we're going to install panels, which will pretty much install most things. That's doing all that. What is the ID? Admin. Don't need to star it. What else do I need to do? This will create a new Laravel service provider, blah, blah, blah. Make a filament user. What happens if I've already got one? Caching blade icons, filament components, opcache. Okay, let's just click on getting started, not installation. I'm pretty sure I need to add something to the user model. Resources, dashboard, users. Implement filament user. So let's open up that user model. And this is going to implement filament user. Need to add can access panel. And this just needs to return some form of Boolean value. I'm going to grab that though because it's public and put it above the casts there. What we want to do is return this has role and the role should be admin. Something like that. Maybe. We'll see. Let's come back to here, refresh, and we're just going to go to admin. Gmail.com, password, credentials do not match our records. So, database seeders, default role seeder, that's all that. What we're going to do is we're going to move this up. We're going to say user is that. User roles save role query where name is admin first. Let's try that. A migrate fresh and seed. Come back to art. And I'm in. My login credentials worked and life is good. This is like my admin panel. So let's go to the env file and let's just change the name to the app name, which is Tranquil Stay. Just be at Gmail, password, and so the beautiful thing about panels with Filament is that I can have an admin panel as well as many others. me just come back to Arc a minute because I got a query in the back of my head. We can go if panel is admin. We can do something like this, actually. So let's open up that user. And the check that we're going to do within there everyone can, by default, access a panel, but if a panel is the admin panel, we want to say we've got to be an admin. Is the admin panel, it's got to be an admin, otherwise just allow them to join. Can you book a room now? Not just yet, it's raining. Maybe soon. Providers, filament, admin panel provider. So we've got unhandled exception, path, colors, primary, color amber. Color, let's say do I need to do there we go. Emerald. Haha, it looks different. All right, okay. So what else can we do? Filament resource, discover pages, widgets, middleware, auth middleware. It's got everything that I need in it for now. Let's take the script types and say that we're happy with that. That's all good. Colors, primary, color emerald. Cool. So we can customize colors a little bit later. We're not going to worry too much about that one. We've got an observer, model, jobs, nothing needed in there. All of our routes are done. So we've got an admin panel. We can start worrying about resources. So let's come back here and think about resources. There's a way to generate resources. Generate the blah, 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 blah. So generating forms and tables. So if I copy this, come back to PHP Storm and think about our models for a second. What we're going to want resources for is the building, the amenity, floor, admin. We've got amenities, buildings, floors, and rooms, and we can just work with it that way, and we are good. We are good to go. No amenities, no amenity. It's already got everything kind of there. Buildings, declare your buildings. Add the floors, add the rooms. Eventually, we can then start adding bookings and all of that good stuff. So we've got our basics done for the admin panel. We come back to linear. Administrative dashboard. We can say that that is done. We've installed filament. Now, we're going to want a calendar view in filament. I don't know if there is one. So we're going to go to filament.php.com, and we are going to come along to plugins. And what we want to do is search for calendar. Full calendar, the most popular JavaScript widget. So filamenty theme. We can do lots of stuff, make a widget, returning events, event title, start, end URL, event data. So this is kind of what we're going to want to use. So for now, I'm just going to copy this, come over to linear, and we are going to, don't attach that. What we want to do is show an embed. This is what we're going to want to use for the calendar view. That's the admin stuff. Room management we'll come back to. Booking engine, customer support. So I think there's something really cool that we could do with customer support. And I'm not going to use the typical kind of filamenty thing for that. I'm going to build something custom. So maybe we come back to here, and what we're going to do is inside our routes web, I'm going to create a new support.php. And what we want here is whenever we come to root, yeah, that's not root. Oh, come on, Steve. Root prefix support as support group. Then the base path is going to be routes web support.php. That's all of our support routes all handled within there. So this one specifically, use that, and the home for the route is going to be a view, which is going to be that pages support index, and we're going to give that a name of home. So we're going to have a support route that comes through there, which is going to be resources, views, pages, all embedded within here, support index.blade.php. For now, I am just going to say layouts.page. And the title is going to be support. This is a support platform. So now if we come to our view here, if we ever go to support, we're just going to go to the support platform. And if we go to admin, we're going to go to the admin platform. If we come to there, we're going to need to log in and we can do bookings and stuff. So let's have a quick think. Bookings. Right. Okay, before I do that, I want to go to packages.org, make sure I'm signed in. If I can remember my login, is it this? Yep. Submit. So https github.com, just Steve King, Olama, PHP. Check. This is a package I've just created, doing this update, and there we go. So I'm going to want to use this. And I want to show you the what and the why. A live wire, make everything for the support is going to be within here. Support, search, support. We've got a nice component there. So support index. Let's just, for now, we're just going to say XUI, XUI.container, livewire, support.search, support for now. Come back to Arc. Let's go to support. and we've got our page, and we're going to completely require that. Minimum stability of stable. No, we're going to drop that down to dev for now. And go again. Right, we've got that installing. We are good. You're here for the position of project manager. Good one, Kat. Okay, so we've got that installed there. Let's just quickly come to our Livewire view. What we want is just a quick little formy thingy that we need or want. Just want a quick search input, don't we? So we're just going to grab something like this. We're just going to grab all of that. Copy that element, come back to PHP Storm, and we'll just remove a lot of stuff that we don't want. Like this. Delete that. This field set we can just remove that button. That is then all in there. Come back to Arc and go have a look at this. So we've got a load of useless stuff that we want to fix. Let's make sure that is still running. Just get rid of the text color quickly so it's still visible. Don't want this, don't want that. And remove that. Come back up. What we got? Personal information, notifications, delete the notification stuff. Why are you not reloading? Search support, okay. Something funky. Don't need all of that. It was reloading, I was just being silly. Okay, so this form, come back to here a second. That's fine, that's how I want it for now. So basically, we're going to have a wire submit. That's going to go to a submit method. This model is prompt, wire model prompt, name prompt, autocomplete is going to be off. So now if we come over to this Livewire component, what we're going to do is, this is going to be a view, factory, and we can just say factory, make view a public function for the submit. I'm not going to return anything yet. Public null string prompt. Right, come back to Arc. So this, when we type something in here, we want it to, let me just get rid of some of this text grey rubbish. There we go. What we want to do is we want to talk to the Olama API. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to create a service class. services. We're going to have Llama service, public function construct. This is going to have a private read-only SDK. And then we're going to have a public function ask string prompt. We want to return SDK. This SDK chat. The chat is a new chat. And then the model is going to be Llama 3. And the messages. Message make, but the role is role, I'm going to say system. Content is you are a support knowledge base assistant that knows all about a hotel called Tranquil Stay. And then let's just knowledge base. You are a support knowledge base assistant that knows all about a hotel called Tranquil Stay. Another message, make, then we can say that the role for this one is role user. Content is then the prompt. What we could probably do is extend this and say, at this point we'd add like, these are the rooms, these are the floors, here's the buildings, here's some information about the hotel, and go from there. But on here, what we want to do is this is going to have a Llama installed, and what we're going to do is done on Llama ask this prompt. So come back to Arc, refresh this, and say, what is your purpose? I need is, we need a new provider, and we're going to say integration service provider. Right, we are getting somewhere. Almost at 2 hours. So I'm going to call it at 2 hours. I'm just going to quickly open up the Llama PHP project here. And endpoint. Now do here, I'm just going to inspect that. Console network. Thanks, dude. Sends a message to chat. Open web UI. What is the API endpoint address for Llama API? Okie dokie. So Llama API, we're just going to Google it. Oh, here it is. Post to there. Model names. Localhost 11434. Come back to PHP Storm. Integration service provider. And what we're going to do is in the register method, we are going to create a singleton. And we can say this app singleton. The abstract is going to be the SDK. The concrete is going to be new SDK. And we're just going to set up. Now the API token isn't actually needed. So we can just pass that, and the URL is that. So now let's come back to Arc and have a look at what is your purpose. Dude, roll from, value must be of type string. Okie dokie 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 dokie. System and user. What is your purpose? Ta-da, we got a message back. Hasn't got any content yet. So maybe what we could do is stream messages, and we can say stream. Yes, we do want to stream. So search support is, we can get our response from there. Then for each response as item, we're going to dump the item and then guy down here. What is your purpose? So probably not the best one, but we can now talk to Llama 3 through Livewire, and we're good to go. So it just needs a little bit of fine tuning. Maybe you need to create a specific way to interact with it, but it's doing its job. That's going to give me a stream. Now we're going to have a public array as response, and we're going to say array push this response, and we're just going to put the item onto it like that for now. Pixel file. So just going to push this item into the array, search support down here. Copy all that, wrap it in a section. All else fails, wrap it in the section. So then we can say for each response as item and for each. So now I'm just going to do that. Li, I'll just drop the item in there. How long is 3 days in? Lots of content coming back. Nothing useful. Nothing useful at all. Let me just class is py12. Maybe on a llama, what we want to do is just do that for now. what is 3 days in seconds? Asking, role assistant, lots of content. All that content is coming back relatively useless. So let's open up a llama. Instead of saying chat, we'll say generate, and we're going to do a new prompt instead. New prompt. The model is going to be, again, llama 3. The prompt is prompt, and the stream is true. Now come back to Arc and say, what is 3 days in seconds? That will stream back that response, which is currently pretty empty. Give me a JSON back there. Format, JSON. Anything else? No, nothing else. Three days in seconds. It's giving me lots of cool stuff back. Nothing useful. So let's just say, no, we don't want to stream the information. Search support, we're just going to say that this response is that. This is going to give me this generate, which is going to give me a generate response, which has all of this stuff on it. So let's go to here and say that was, for now, that's just a string. This ask response on here, what we're just going to do is turn that to response. Arc. Ask again. 3 days. Perfect. So we got something. So we got AI integration. Not so bad. Not so bad. But what we're going to want to do is build up our own model at some point, passing it in some data. So we'll come back to that another time. For now, I think what we'll do is make a new model called Booking MF. Cool. All right. Let's focus in on that. I'm doing a little bit of everything right now. Our next stream will definitely be a lot more focused. Right now, I'm just trying to get as many ideas out of my head as possible. We've got a UUID. That we're going to say foreign UUID for the room. This person is booking this room. Constrained cascade on delete. We kind of want an index. So this booking will have a timestamp of starts at, and it will also have a timestamp for ends at. It is what else is going to be on there? Table, unsigned, big integer. It's going to have a cost. Right. Table, unsigned, big integer. Oh, not big integer, unsigned integer of guests. So this person is booking for this many people. It's costing that much. They're going to that room between those dates. And for now, I'm leaving out of that. We'll come back and we'll probably fill in some more information. But for now, let's just add the model here and say booking class. This is a class string, generic type of model. This is going to return an array of string mixed. So we're going to want guests. This baker number between 1 person and 8 people. And was it cost or price? Or yeah, cost. It's going to cost it's going to do random number of 1,000 and 5,000 for now. Then we're going to say that the room ID is the room factory. The user booking it is a random user. Carbon, pass, time. This baker, date, time, this month. Then we're going to say ends at, and we can say start, add days, this value, yeah, this baker number between, let's stay between 1 and 7 days. Come over to booking, put this over there so we can see what we're doing. Who has UID? We're going to want to think about booking states as well, right? Which means we might have to dig into state machines, which is going to be fun. Not something I've got the most experience with, but it's something that for an application like this is definitely needed. So let's just say casts. This should have been called Learn With Me as I figure stuff out as we go along. Return an array of string, guests, integer, cost is an integer, starts at is a date time, ends at is also a date time. Fantastic. So we've got bookings pretty much done there. So we've got int for guests, property int for cost, int for string for that room ID, string for that user ID. Then we have got a carbon interface for the starts at, carbon interface for the ends at, property null created at, and the updated at. Then we're going to have a room, a user. So what I'm now thinking is delete guests from there. And what we're going to do is have a booking guest model, which will be slightly different. So there's all the booking stuff. So now we can come down to here and say public function room belongs to, return belongs to room class, but we want that related room class and a foreign key of room ID. We want to add that belongs to room, come over the room, and we can say that this room has many bookings. Have many, booking class, foreign key of room ID, return has many, that's a booking. Come up to the top and we can add this into here. So property collection for a booking, bookings. And we pretty much got the same thing on the user, right? The user has many bookings. This is the user ID. User can have many bookings. So property collection booking bookings. Fantastic. Make sure we add the user on here. Public function user belongs to. Turn this belongs to. Like that. Belongs to, and that's a user. So each booking has many guests. So a make model guest. Close all of those for now and come down here, guests table. And let's just do this. Fix all that. New ID, ID primary, and we want to link this foreign UID to a booking. And we're going to constrain it to the bookings table and we're going to cascade on delete. We're then going to have a table foreign UID for the user ID, which is nullable. Index, constrained, cascade. Table, string, name. Table, Boolean. Is this an adult? Default true. So basically each booking can have many guests. That could be a user, in which case we'll pre-fill the name. Otherwise, they've got to add their name. Maybe we'll do something like an email as well, but that could be nullable. So let's go fill out guests quickly. And once we've done that, I think I will call it a day. So model, guest class, class string, model, return an array of string mixed. Name is this baker name. Email, this faker safe email. Adult, we're just going to say Boolean. Booking ID, we are just going to say booking factory. And user ID, I'm just going to say null for now. So that's all about guests. for a booking has UID, billable, name, email, is it an adult, what booking is it for, does it belong to a user, and that should be it. An array of int string. We want to do some casts. And we are casting adult to a Boolean. It's an array. It's returning an array of string. Public function booking belongs to. Booking class, booking ID, belongs to booking. Now down here, we want the user belongs to user based on user ID, belongs to user. Now add the properties, string ID, property string name, copy null, string email, copy bool for adult, booking ID, null, string user ID, carbon interface for created at property null carbon interface updated at, then we've got a booking null user for user. So a booking can have many guests. Has many guests. Turn this has many guest class booking ID. Return has many guests. And then what we also want is the user has many bookings. Public function, I guess going to say guest. You are a guest at many bookings, basically. So return this has many related guest class. Foreign key is user ID. Return has many guests. What are you a guest on? So you're a guest on many bookings. That could maybe be it has many through, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So migrate fresh seed. Make sure we don't break anything, which we have. Syntax error at or near ends at. Created that timestamp. Why is that complaining? Create booking stable. This is line 12. Line 12. What did I do wrong? UID, unside big integer, default. There we go. There we go. We've got all of our bookings sorted. Good enough for one day. So I'm going to say thank you very much. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, the usual stuff that you do on YouTube, Twitch, or wherever you're watching this from. We're going to pick this up again maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, depending on my schedule. But we're going to do 2 more streams of this week. And if you all enjoy it, we will keep going. But thank you. Have a good day. Stay awesome. And I will catch you later.